Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into something fundamental, really the art and science of human interaction. We're looking at Dale Carnegie's classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, it's more than a book, right? It's practically a cultural touchstone.
It really is. And, the backstory is actually pretty surprising. It didn't start as a book at all.
Oh.
No, it grew out of a course. And that course came from this, massive survey. Took 2 years, cost $25,000 back then, which was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, run by the University of Chicago and the YMCA schools. They went to Meriden, Connecticut. They figured it was like typical American town.
Yeah.
And they asked adults 156 questions. And what popped up? Right after health, the biggest thing people cared about was, and I'm quoting here, how to understand and get along with people, how to make people like you, and how to win others to your way of thinking.
So it wasn't just Carnegie's idea. It was based on what people were actually saying they needed. Deeply researched right from the get-go.
Exactly. So Carnegie builds this course, but not on abstract theories. He interviewed successful people, Marconi, Edison, FDR, even Clark Gable.
Quite the list.
Yeah. And then he tested these principles in what he called a laboratory of human relationships with thousands of adults.
So real-world testing.
Totally. So when the book finally came out in 1937, the publisher thought maybe 5,000 copies.
Yeah, I read.
And it just exploded. Overnight sensation, international bestseller, translated into pretty much every language you can think of. It just hit a nerve, a timeless human need.
Still does, clearly.
And even the revised 81 edition, they updated examples, but they were super careful to keep his brash, breezy style. And crucially, they didn't tamper with the content. The core principles stayed exactly the same.
Incredible. So for this deep dive, our vision, really, is to pull out that core wisdom. Think of this as your guide, your shortcut, maybe, to the most powerful ideas in the book, stuff you can actually use. Okay, let's kick things off with maybe the toughest one for a lot of us. Carnegie's first big principle for handling people. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Yeah.
Which sounds, it sounds almost impossible sometimes, doesn't it? We're so quick to see faults, to blame. We rarely blame ourselves, though.
It's so true. And Carnegie uses some really stark examples to hammer this home, like Two-Gun Crowley, the cop killer.
Right.
When they caught him, did he say, I messed up? No. He said he was defending himself.
Wow.
Or Al Capone, public enemy number one. He saw himself as a misunderstood public servant, said he was providing lighter pleasures and got abuse for it.
Unbelievable.
And he talks about prisons. Even the most hardened criminals, guys locked up for terrible things, they almost never blame themselves. They rationalize, they justify.
So if guys like Capone don't blame themselves, why on earth do we expect, our coworker or our spouse to react well when we criticize them? It seems doomed from the start.
It really is. It's futile. And Carnegie says it's dangerous. Criticism instantly puts people on the defensive. They justify themselves. Their pride gets wounded. Resentment builds up.
Makes sense.
John Wanamaker, the department store guy, learned this early. Said he figured out it was better to look at his own mistakes than to scold others. Carnegie himself admitted it took him 30 years to really get this.
30 years?
Yeah. He gives an example of a factory foreman, orders people to wear hard hats, nobody listens. Then he changes tactics, asks nicely, is the hat comfortable? Does it protect you well? Suddenly everyone's wearing them. No resentment.
It's the approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's Lincoln.
Lincoln. He's the gold standard here, right? But he wasn't always like that.
Not at all. As a young man, he wrote nasty letters, poems making fun of people, caused huge resentments, things that lasted lifetimes. Yeah. He learned a hard, invaluable lesson, as Carnegie puts it. After that, he almost never criticized anyone. The famous story is the letter to General Meade after Gettysburg.
Right. Meade let Lee escape. Lincoln was furious.
Furious. He wrote this absolutely scathing letter, just tore into Meade. But then he thought about it.
Yeah.
And he didn't send it. He realized it wouldn't help. Meade would just justify himself, probably blame Lincoln, it would cause bad feelings, and Meade wouldn't be as effective afterwards. So he put it aside.
That's incredible foresight.
It is. Teddy Roosevelt apparently kept a picture of Lincoln over his desk and would ask, what would Lincoln do?
It's a good question to ask. It also reminds me of that poem Carnegie includes, Father Forgets. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah. W. Livingston Larned. It's powerful. This father just listing all the ways he nagged his little boy during the day, dirty shoes, messy eating, torn socks. And then later, he's overcome with guilt. He realizes his son is just a little boy and vows to be a real daddy, to bite his tongue, to be understanding.
It hits hard.
It really does. And it drives home the point. It's not about ignoring bad things. It's about how you deal with them. Understanding first, not blame.
Okay, so if criticism's out, what's in? How do you actually motivate someone, get them to want to do something? Carnegie says there's one way.
Yeah, by making the other person want to do it. And the key to that, according to psychologists like Freud and Dewey, is tapping into this incredibly deep human drive, the desire to be important.
The desire to be important.
They called it the deepest urge in human nature. It explains so much. Why Lincoln pushed himself to learn, why Dickens wrote, why Rockefeller chased millions, why people wear the latest clothes.
Or why criminals seek notoriety, like Dillinger being proud of being public enemy #1.
Exactly. It's that same urge, twisted perhaps, but it's there. History is full of it. George Washington wanting to be called his mightiness, Columbus insisting on Admiral of the Ocean, Catherine the Great.
Mrs. Lincoln, too, apparently.
Millionaires naming mountains after themselves, Victor Hugo wanting Paris renamed for him, Shakespeare wanting a coat of arms. It's everywhere.
It can go to extremes, too, right? Like people becoming invalids just for attention.
Tragically, yes. Carnegie mentions Mrs. McKinley making President McKinley tend to her constantly. Or that story by Mary Roberts Rinehart about the woman who was an invalid for years, then just got up and walked when her caregiver mother died.
Wow.
Some experts even think people go insane, partly to find that feeling of importance in fantasy that they couldn't get in reality.
That's heavy. But it shows how powerful this urge is.
Incredibly powerful. So imagine harnessing that. Imagine what happens when you give people that feeling of importance through honest, sincere appreciation.
Okay, so appreciation, not criticism.
Yeah.
But how do you make it effective? How do you make it work?
Well, look at Charles Schwab. Paid $1 million a year back when that was astronomical. Why?
Yeah.
Not just steal knowledge. He said it himself, his ability to arouse enthusiasm in people.
Appreciation.
Honest and sincere appreciation. He stresses that. It can't be flattery. Flattery is, cheap and false, insincere. People see right through it. But genuine appreciation, noticing something specific and praising it, that works wonders. Like Pamela Dunham with the janitor who wasn't doing a great job. Instead of complaining, she found one thing he did well occasionally and praised him for that. Specifically, even in front of others. Total turnaround in his attitude and work.
That's amazing.
It's like legal tender that all souls enjoy, Carnegie says. We all crave it. Praising your kids, thanking the chef, acknowledging good service. It costs nothing, but it means so much. Emerson said, every man I meet is my superior in some way. In that, I learn of him. Find that way, appreciate it.
And it can change your own life, too.
Yeah.
That stockbroker, Steinhardt. He wrote to Carnegie saying his life was literally revolutionized just by starting to smile, stopping criticism, and giving appreciation. Became happier, richer in friendships.
A total transformation, yeah, from a small shift in focus.
Okay, so appreciation is key. What about just getting people to like you in the first place? Carnegie has a principle for that, inspired by a dog.
Yeah. Tippy, his Boston Bulldog. He watched Tippy and realized, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
That makes sense. We're all pretty self-focused, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. That telephone company study. The most used word in 500 phone calls was I, 3,900 times.
Wow.
And think about a group photo. Whose face do you look for first?
Mine. Guilty.
Exactly. Alfred Adler, the psychologist, said something really profound. It is the individual who is not interested in his fellow men who has the greatest difficulties in life and provides the greatest injury to others.
That's powerful.
Thurston, the magician. Before every show, he'd tell himself, I love my audience, getting himself genuinely interested. Or Uncle George, the fiddle player, who wasn't great but made tons of friends in retirement just by being really interested in other musicians.
And Theodore Roosevelt again. He was a master at this, wasn't he?
Unbelievable. Knew servants' names, asked about their lives, their interests, Bob Whites, cornbread, whatever, made them feel truly seen and valued. That J&J salesman, Sykes, he saved a big account by talking to the soda clerk and the sales clerk first, showing interest in them before even approaching the boss.
So it's about genuine curiosity about others. How did Carnegie use this himself?
Oh,
Yeah.
all the time. To get busy authors like Kathleen Norris or Fannie Hurst or bigwigs like William Jennings Bryan to speak to his classes, he didn't just ask. He showed deep, genuine interest in their work, their lives, asked them questions about themselves that made them want to engage.
Smart, right.
There's even a story about a kid winning over Kaiser Wilhelm just by saying he loved him as emperor. Simple, but it tapped into that need for recognition. And the Duke of Windsor learning Spanish for his South American tour, that effort showed immense interest.
And this ties into remembering names, right? That's another huge principle.
Oh, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Principle 3 in that section. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Think about Jim Farley.
FDR's campaign manager.
Yeah. The guy supposedly knew 50,000 first names. He had a system, learned about people's families, jobs, politics. Then he'd use that name. Hi, Bill. How's it going, Jane? Made people feel incredibly important.
It's like a personal connection instantly.
Exactly. And forgetting or misspelling a name, disaster. Carnegie tells a story about messing up a French banker's name on a form letter and getting a furious reply. Contrast that with Sid Levy, the realtor, who made Mr. Nicodemus Papadoulos weep just by using his full correct name because nobody else had bothered in 15 years.
Wow. 15 years. It shows how much it matters. Andrew Carnegie knew this too, didn't he? Used it in business.
Definitely. Named a steel mill Edgar Thomson Steel Works after the railroad president he wanted to sell rails to. Smart move.
Very smart.
And he named the merged company the Pullman Palace Car Company to stroke George Pullman's ego during a business battle. That bank chairman, Benton Love, said an executive who can't remember names can't remember a big part of his business.
It's fundamental.
That flight attendant, Karen Kursek, getting compliments just by using passengers' names, people funding libraries and museums partly to perpetuate their names. Even FDR took the time to remember a mechanic's name and send him a thank you note. Ken Nottingham changing the whole vibe with the cafeteria worker Eunice just by saying, "Hello, Eunice." Simple, but profound.
It really is the sweetest sound, acknowledging someone's core identity. Okay, let's shift gears. We've talked about handling people, making them like you. Now, the big one, winning people to your way of thinking. This feels like it could get manipulative, but Carnegie insists it's not about that.
Right. It's really about finding common ground, understanding the other person, and framing things so it's a win-win. It's influence, not manipulation. And a lot of it starts, again, with listening.
Listening again.
Oh, yeah. Principle number 1 here, effectively. Be a good listener. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Remember Carnegie at the dinner party with the botanist?
He knew nothing about bot.
Right. But he just listened, asked questions, let the guy talk about his passion. Afterwards, the botanist called Carnegie a most interesting conversationalist.
Just by listening.
Exactly. Harvard's President Eliot called exclusive attention the highest form of flattery. That telephone troubleshooter who listened for 3 hours to an angry customer, it worked. The Detmer Woolen Company guy listening patiently to a furious customer who swore never to buy again. He got a huge order and a loyal friend. Isaac Marcusson, the journalist, found that important people prefer good listeners way more than good dockers.
So listening is active. It builds bridges.
Okay.
Once you've listened and you need to speak, what's the key?
Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Don't lead with what you want. Frame it around what they care about. William Lyon Phelps learned this. Talk about the kid's interest in boats, not your own stuff. Edward Chalif got that Boy Scout sponsorship by talking about the president's interest in scouting, not the company's benefit.
Find there what's in it for me.
Precisely. That father getting his son to eat by linking it to getting strong enough to beat the bully, that was talking in the son's interest revenge, making things about their desires, their goals. Self-expression is key. Let them find it.
This loops back to making them feel valued, doesn't it? Seeing their world.
Absolutely. Which leads to make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Again, sincerity is crucial. Carnegie finding something nice to say about the post office clerk's desk. Hall Caine praising Rossetti's poetry. Ronald Rowland telling the shy student, "Chris, you are good enough for the advanced class." That attorney getting the Packard from his aunt just by genuinely admiring her and her things, making her feel seen. George Eastman giving that huge chair order to Adamson because Adamson didn't push chairs. He admired Eastman's office, his charity work, his history. Talk about them. Disraeli said they'll listen for hours.
Okay, foundation built.
And listen.
Understand their interests, make them feel important. Now, what if you have a disagreement or you need to ask for something potentially difficult? How do you start that conversation?
2 key things here. Begin in a friendly way. Always. Woodrow Wilson's quote is great. If you come at me with your fist doubled, mine will double as fast. Approach with friendship. Rockefeller Jr. addressing those striking miners, not with anger, but "I am proud to be here," radiating friendliness. It worked. The fable of the wind and the sun warmth works. Force doesn't.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Start friendly. And the other thing.
Get the other person saying, "Yes, yes," immediately. Find common ground. Start with points you both agree on. Get them nodding along. Joseph Allman did this with an angry customer, agreed with all the complaints first, got the yes, yes going, then proposed the solution. It changes the whole dynamic from confrontational to collaborative.
Disarm them with agreement. Smart.
Yeah.
But what if you're the one who messed up? What if you're genuinely wrong?
Then you absolutely must admit it quickly and emphatically. Don't hedge, don't minimize, own it fully. Carnegie, with the policeman and his dog Rex off-leash. He immediately said, "Officer, you've caught me red-handed. I'm guilty." The officer's response. He softened completely, became helpful. That artist, Ferdinand Warren, facing a critical editor. He criticized himself first, even more harshly. The editor ended up defending him. It takes the wind right out of their sails.
That takes guts. But I can see how it would work. It's disarming. And underlying all of this seems to be empathy.
Yeah.
Right. Really trying to see their side.
That's the bedrock. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Carnegie even gives you a magic phrase. "I don't blame you one iota for feeling as you do. If I were you, I would undoubtedly feel just as you do."
Why does that work so well?
Because it shows genuine sympathy and understanding. It acknowledges their feelings are valid from their perspective. People are products of their experiences, right? Like Taft writing that polite letter to the angry mother, acknowledging her disappointment, it completely changed her attitude. Or Jay Mangum focusing on the hotel manager's goal of minimizing guest disruption for the escalator repair. See it their way.
Okay, see their view. But how do you motivate them towards a specific action? Maybe one that requires a bit of idealism.
You appeal to the nobler motives. People like to think of themselves as fair, honest, principled. Appeal to that. Like the credit manager getting the tenant to pay by appealing to his reputation as a man of your word. Or Lord Northcliffe asking the paper not to publish his photo because my mother doesn't like it, appealing to respect for mothers. Rockefeller Jr. asking photographers to leave his kids alone by saying, "You've got children yourselves." Appeal to their better selves.
Find the higher ground. And what about making your ideas just stick? Making them memorable.
You got to dramatize your ideas, make them vivid, visual, impactful. That newspaper publishing a whole day's content as a book to show its volume. The NCR salesman throwing pennies on the floor to show the grocer literally throwing away pennies. That ad exec dumping 32 jars of cold cream on the desk. It grabs attention, makes the point unforgettable.
Makes it real. Okay, last one in this section. When you need to really fire someone up, get them to push themselves.
That's when you throw down a challenge. Tap into the desire to excel, the love of the game. Charles Schwab getting more steel production by chalking the output number on the floor and letting the next shift try to beat it. Pure competition. Teddy Roosevelt running for VP because Platt basically dared him, calling him a coward. Al Smith challenging Warden Laws to take the tough Sing Sing job. People rise to a challenge, especially when the work itself is interesting.
So bringing it all together, it's about understanding, empathy, finding common ground, appealing to their interests and better nature, making things clear and compelling, and sometimes issuing a challenge. It's definitely not manipulation.
Not at all. It's about achieving results through genuine connection and understanding. Look at the examples. Vermeulen getting faster shipping by appreciating the workers. Mrs. Anderson getting job offers by focusing on the bank's needs. Mike Whidden getting the gas station cleaned up by challenging the manager. Everyone benefited. It's about finding that win-win.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground today, really digging into Carnegie's wisdom and how to win friends and influence people. It's just packed with these timeless insights into how we interact.
It really is. And it's striking to remember that survey result, that knowing how to get along with people was the second biggest thing adults wanted to learn. It's just a fundamental human need, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Professor William James had that quote, something like, "Compared to what we ought to be, we are only half awake. We only use a fraction of our potential." Carnegie felt his job was to help people unlock that potential, conquer their fears, and develop courage by actually using these principles.
Which brings us to the final thought. Carnegie warns that using these principles effectively doesn't happen overnight. It can be made habitual only by a constant and vigorous campaign of review and application.
Constant effort.
So the question for you, listening right now, is this. What latent powers in your own interactions, in your relationships, are you maybe habitually failing to use? And how are you going to start your own campaign to awaken them, starting today?